What's up, y'all? Coach J back at you for the post fight of this Canelo and Smith fight. So, listen, we knew what to expect. We probably all had Canelo as a favorite, and he won the fight. He won by decision. What did we see? What we saw was a still evolving, still getting better Canelo Alvarez. He's still a great fighter. He is still getting better, and he has shown us why he is the number one pound for pound fighter in boxing, right? And he was just able to do whatever he wanted. There was no fear, there was no repercussion, there was no reason to second guess. Just walking down his opponent and just letting off shots. He couldn't get the finish, but he was still able to, put it on a good showing and show why he's the best. He's still got great head movement. His defense was good. Still a great counterpuncher. Has plenty of power. Uses a great jab, combinations, body punching. I mean, he's got the complete package. As a fighter, he's a complete fighter. You know, he doesn't do everything great, but he knows how to put a whole package together and make it great. When you're making a great recipe, the individual pieces by themselves don't necessarily taste good on their own. But when you put them all together in a package, that's what makes it a great item, a great, piece of, great cake or food or whatever it is that you're making. He's that way as a fighter. He knows how to put all of the pieces together to make himself the complete package that he wants to be as a fighter. And I think that's excellent. Smith, on the other hand, did not put on a great showing. The game plan was just all wrong. He did not have the ability to keep Canelo off of him. Like, he literally just could not stop him from doing whatever he wanted. And I think that was comes down to game plan. If you're going to fight a guy who's that much shorter than you and you have that much longer of a reach and height, you have to fight tall. And he does not fight tall much at all. He's never really that type of fighter. But I knew in this type of fight he was gonna have to fight that way. He was gonna have to fight different. And if he didn't do that, he wasn't gonna win the fight. He was gonna have to rely on the 1-2, jabs and crosses, sticking with straight punches, and maybe use hooks and uppercuts when he does get tracked down, just to make sure he keeps a guy that short honest, so he can walk out and continue to fight. But you can't just stick there. You can't stay there. You have to walk. You have to use that straight line offense, and then you got to work your way out at angles. And I think that was a big failure on his part and his team's part not to recognize that. And if he was to try to do that and it didn't work, that's one thing. But to completely neglect that is definitely not a good thing. So I think they're gonna have to. He's a tough fighter. Listen, Canelo couldn't get him out of there. They went the distance. So I think Smith will be back. So I don't have any doubt that he's going to be a champion. You know, again at some point in his career, perhaps. And maybe even move up to another weight class. Maybe the 175, right? But listen, you ran into the best of the best. You ran into the number one pound for pound, in boxing, and it just wasn't your night. The game plan was all wrong, but he is tough. He didn't get knocked down, and he didn't get knocked out. So for him, there's still some life left, but you're gonna have to you have to rebuild yourself, and you got to bring your A game to your next fight, so you can stay in the top, and be competitive, in the division that you choose to stay in. So, great fight. What Canelo does from here. I mean, listen, there's options. Obviously, Triple G fought last night in a one-sided affair, just to kind of tune up and be ready. I think the world is probably going to call for the third fight. but I think it's a polarizing fight because I think some people don't want to see it. A lot of people do want to see it, so I'm not sure. There's Demetrius Andrade, also on the zone, you know, match room, so that could happen. I think at this point, listen, Canelo's a 4 division champion. What he's fighting for, and has been probably for the last few fights, is legacy. He's not fighting for anything other than legacy, right? He's fighting for significant place in history, right? Four division champion, perhaps won the unified. He is a unified champ now that he took the belts from Callum Smith. But maybe he wants to further unify and become undisputed at a particular weight class. Maybe there's fights in other guys moving up. You know, there's Charlo as well. You got Spence, who was also interviewed on the DAZN cast to, you know, potentially move up to 160. You know, he's a big fighter at 147, and so maybe the jump to 160 could work. That would be a compelling matchup. That would be a very, very interesting fight. Now, here's why I say that. Spence, I believe, has the style that can disrupt a fighter like Canelo. Now, I'm not sure how big he will be at 160 in comparison to Canelo. I think height-wise, they're pretty close. I think Spence still would have the reach. But I think the way that Spence fights against Canelo is a compelling story, because if there was to be a style to beat Canelo, you have to have a busy fighter that fights in that straight line, that will use jabs, will just keep a stick in your face and keep you working. Because Canelo lost to Floyd Mayweather, right? And the way he lost was that style. Floyd is going to control the pace. He's not going to get caught. He's not going to get trapped in the ropes. He's not going to let you do and get comfortable. I think Spence has some elements of that in him in the offensive way. Now, defensively, I think he's not near Mayweather in that sense. He will get hit more. But can he take those hits at 160? Is he tough enough to take that? Will he be able to withstand that? I'm not sure. But offensively, I think he has the ability to fight against Canelo and create a pace that is not favorable to Canelo. You know, so if there was to be a matchup, I'd be interested in that. Not good for the division in terms of belts and guys, you know, who have to come from other divisions, but you know, just from a fight standpoint, I think it's good. You got Billy Joe Saunders, you know, that's another fight. So I mean, there's things that can be done. I think the sport around that division is very lively. 160, 168, 175, you know. So I think it's a great time for him to just chase legacy and put those things into the history books. So let me know what you guys think. What did you think of the fight? Do you want to see the Triple G Canelo Part 3? Is that up your alley? Let me know. Like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys again. Peace.